Welcome to the Wisdom Lifestyle Money Show. I'm your host, Scott Dillingham. The goal of the show is to show you how you can grow personally, financially, have a larger net worth, and leverage your largest asset to help you develop the person you want to be. I take you through all the steps I did from being nothing to being told that I was nobody and I was never going to accomplish anything, from getting kicked out of high school to owning a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio in my own company with more than 20 employees. You'll meet our partners, you'll meet our friends, and you'll quickly discover how you can improve your life. So listen in and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Wisdom Lifestyle Money Show. I'm your host, Scott Dillingham, and today I have two guests with us today. We've got Robert, who specializes, he's an expert investor in foreign currency trading. And then we have Jillian, who is a mortgage agent on our team, who's leveraged Robert in his services. And we're going to talk about all this stuff. It's going to be a super exciting episode because I know as an investor, we're always looking for the next best thing. And I think this is it. So welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks, Scott. Hey, Rob, nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Thank you for having me, Scott.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So, Rob, every show that I host, I always start with your childhood and how you got to where you are today and what trials, tribulations, things that you learned, that type of thing. So, do you mind sharing your story?
I haven't gone through many trials and tribulations, but I've had a couple. So we'll start right up at the very beginning. I grew up in Niagara Falls, lived there most of my life. I got my start into the financial world really when I turned 12 and learned about compound interest, that magical eighth wonder of the world. But formally, it got my start in the financial world when I joined TD Canada Trust back in 2006 as a bank teller. I was there for a little bit. I think it was 3 years until I worked my way up to a sales role, and then did a lateral transfer over the same year to CIBC, where I started as a salesperson and then worked my way up to a branch manager role a year and a half later. I'd like to say it was all skill and my brilliance, but really it was right place, right time. So I was very lucky in that regard because I was still fairly young. I was only 23 at the time and learned a lot, made a few mistakes along the way, but thankfully had a wonderful boss, the district vice president, who was a very good mentor in my financial journey. Ended up leaving CIBC in 2015 because I had gone to school for accounting, got a couple of diplomas there through Niagara College and Northern College in Northern Ontario, and then headed up a finance department in Moosonee, Ontario, Children's Aid. Did that for a couple of years and realized that I didn't really want to do that anymore because I'd always had this burning desire to use my gift of understanding patterns and numbers to really help people, because all throughout my time in banking, I really saw a broken system that didn't care about people. And I wanted to do something to change that. And I've always had a passion for trading, since starting back in 2008 in stocks and then flipping over to currencies in 2012. But the problem was I was never really good at it. I would say I was terrible at it up until I met my mentor in 2016. He was based out of South Africa at the time. He's still there. We're now good friends. And he really taught me a vastly different way of trading. He taught me to get out of the retail mindset, stop focusing on the short-term movements and trying to profit from them, because where the real money can be made is when you take a step back and take a look at the much bigger picture, the one that the institutions with access to billions of dollars of capital are looking at, where they can really move markets. And then just take trades based off the manipulations. It's as simple as that. The pattern that I look for, anyone can learn it. Anything can be taught. It's whether someone's willing to receive it and then action it is where the difference is made. And I was one of the ones that actioned it. It took me, from the time I met my mentor in 2016, about a year to really get the strategy down to a science, and then also master the mental game of trading. Because really, when you're trading, there's a huge psychological component that goes into it. And my friends and family kind of joke with me at that time, an emotional robot in my, not just my work life, but also my personal life. So sometimes I forget to flip the switch and become that personable guy that actually has feelings. So it's pretty funny when I am actually trading, because I don't feel it anymore, but I have been told that I have ice running through my veins, and you have to. So once I got what I wanted to do for people with what I'm good at, down. I opened up my company in May of 20 and then started taking on clients around July, August 2021. And we had some initial success with it. And then October, November, and December of 2021, here comes those losing trades that I was talking about earlier. We had those 3 months were all losing months. We lost, believe it was a cumulative total of around 8.5% or so. But then the following 3 months made it all back and then some. And we've been cruising ever since. So, I mean, since inception, since the company got going, we've been rocking and rolling with a net client return of about 10.8% a month compounded. I would
Hey, can
love
you
to
stop?
continue that streak.
Can you say that again? I
But that
think you went by that really fast. Is that 10.8% a month? Because people
A month,
normally think
yes.
that's a year. Okay, a
Yeah.
month. Thank you. Carry
Yeah.
on.
And that's
We're gonna come
that's a
back to that.
compounded return. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a compounded return. And I would love to continue that streak. And we have been going pretty well. But like I said, you can't rely on historical data. It can help with your future outlook, but it's by no means a guarantee that it's going to continue to happen. I've had months where it's been more than the 10.8 for clients. I've had months when it's been less. So you really get everything in between. But at the heart of all this, I genuinely love what I do because at the end of the day, I just recently, while we have been in New Zealand, I was talking with a mate of mine, and he was like, "You're a socialist capitalist." I was like, "I've never had anyone call me that before, but that makes a lot of sense." Because really what I want to do is while making money is awesome and it allows you to, if you're the type of person who likes things, you can buy things. But my wife and I are more on the experience side of things. We love to have those experiences and I love to see others succeed as well in their financial, at the very least in their financial world. So I want, as the company grows, I'm not in it to make a ton of money, but I do get paid well for what I do, but I want to see us all rise together and really change the landscape of how the traditional system operates and treats people. That's really at the heart of this because it'd be really cool to have BlackRock levels of assets under management. Maybe I'll get there one day, maybe I won't. That's not a concern for me. What I want to do is be at least a contributor to the change in the traditional system.
Mm.
that's super cool. I have some questions. I don't know about you, Jillian. Do you have any questions? Because I started us off and then I'll ask.
Why don't you get started, Scott? Because I've had so much experience already investing in with Rob. So why don't you ask your questions from the beginning and I'll pipe in too as a client if I can help along the
Yeah,
way.
yeah. So my first thought for anybody hearing this is I think they're going to be excited and they're going to say
Yeah.
that's crazy past returns. Hopefully the future returns maintain and people I'm sure are going to want to get started. So a
Yeah.
couple thoughts that come to mind is minimum investments and how long do you recommend or do you have a minimum that an investor keeps their funds locked in? So I know that's two separate questions there, but I'll let you cover those and then there's more.
Yep. So for the first part, the minimum investment, I have no minimum investment. There is criteria that you have to sit in because I'm a private issuing company at the moment, waiting on the official portfolio manager designation. I'd hoped it would be in place by the end of this year. It has not. So we're looking at 2024 for that. Um, if you fall within one of the different exemptions, there's a non-professional exemption where you have to invest 150,000 or more into it to qualify under that exemption. Or if you are friends or family or a business associate of anyone that's in the company, you can do business. Eligible investors and accredited investors are accepted. The difference there being income and asset levels. With eligible investors, you can only invest up to $100,000 in a 12-month period across all exempt markets. And then obviously accredited investors, you're a bit more sophisticated. So you're able to invest whatever amount that you want over a 12-month period. And then there's a few other exemptions that I haven't utilized yet, but are available, but you can find those on any Securities Commission websites.
Okay.
And then minimum investment.
The links, yeah,
was
because
the
you
second-
mentioned you look at trends, right? And then you invest based on that, not necessarily the daily stuff. With that being said, some trends take time. So that's why I'm wondering if there's a minimum time that you would recommend.
Oh, the locked in. No, there is no locked in. Because at the end of the day, this is the customer's money. They're free to do with it what they please. The only thing they can't do is take out more than what they have in their account. And the traditional banks and investment houses, brokerages, they have that same rule, funnily enough. So there's no locking in period. Obviously, the longer you have it in there, the better chance at returns that you have. For an average trade that I do, I'm looking at the charts on a daily basis, but in a month, I'm doing anywhere from 4 to about 8 trades in a month. So I'm not actually doing a trade every day because the market giveth and the market taketh away. So I'm only looking for a specific pattern, and if the pattern is not present, there's no trade. So the longer you're in, the better your odds. The shorter you're in, there's still a chance, but you have a much better shot at longer term.
Nice.
Can I just jump in for 1 second here? This is
Yeah.
one of the appeals to me as an investor investing with Rob is I'm an accredited investor, so I can use other exempt market facilities to invest, which I do because I'm always looking as a real estate investor and as an investor in general, looking for above average returns. But this is what I like about for the people and Rob is that your money isn't locked in. Many of these exempt market issuances are really long term. Like your money it does well, but it's locked away for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years or whatever. And so while the return does well, it's completely liquid. Whereas Rob's, you can take out money however you want. Like you want to leave it in for 6 months, that's great. It doubles in 6 months almost, or mine has anyway. And you can take it out, or you can take it out monthly if you want. And so it's a real advantage of a program like this because it is completely different from other exempt market things, is that
Yeah.
it's not locked in. It's amazing.
Which is super cool. Yeah, I
Yeah, it
agree.
is.
Now, question for you, Robert. I know you mentioned the returns. Is that the compounded return, or is that the monthly that you're getting? And the compounding can be greater if the funds stay invested with you for longer.
Yes and yes. So the 10.8 that I referenced before, that is a monthly figure. So with my trading, how it all works is at the beginning of the month, let's say you have $100,000 in your account. All of the trades that I do in that month will be based off of that balance at the beginning of the month. So if I'm risking 1%, I risk $1,000 per trade, and that is $1,000 per trade throughout the month. At the end of the month, the account balance resets, and now you have, I don't know, $110,000 in your account. Then I'll base the risk off of that. So it just keeps going like that. Yes to the monthly compounding, and then it's compounded.
That's super cool. And we don't have to share the details here, but this is from what Jillian told me, and maybe you'll clarify in case I'm wrong here. But that the return you're stating, that's what the investor gets after fees. So technically the return's even greater, and then you take that. So for somebody listening, it's not that and then the fees, like that's after the fact.
Yes. Yeah, that is net of fees, that number.
Yeah, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
The most ridiculous month I ever had was, I believe it was September of last year. It was net to the customer. It was like 23.6%. So in that month, on a gross basis, before fees, we had traded over 50% that month alone. That was a fantastic month. And I wish I could replicate that every month because then we'd be growing crazy quick. But so far it's a one-off.
Yeah. My best month was 15.4%, I think. That's what I got. That was a great one.
Now,
Yeah.
I, like you, we actually used to work for the same bank, the Red Bank. And during the same years, actually, I was just the mobile mortgage advisor, and you were probably on their investment side. I know during that time they opened up like the mobile investment specialist. Is that what you were doing?
No, I had not done that. I was just a regular, I think this was the TD phrase, but the regular financial sales representative.
Okay. Yeah.
Branch. So mutual fund on that end.
Yeah. Open the bank accounts, checking accounts, do a couple mortgages a year. Yeah. I know they had the same position at CIBC. So cool. No, that's super cool. Now, question for you. So one of the things that I was doing when I started at the bank, or what got me into it, is I would tap into a secured line of credit. I would purchase an equity, dividend paying equity, and I used the dividends to pay my monthly line of credit interest. And then the equities grew naturally over time. So is that something that an investor could do with you as well, right? Give you access to their line of credit funds, let's say, and then are you able to pay the profits, but keep the initial investment invested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
So
I said before, at the end of the day, this is the customer's money. I just manage it and trade it. They're free to do whatever with it that they please. I've had people that have invested me with since day one they've been with me. They haven't taken anything out. I have people that take out monthly. I have people that, because of what I do, it's increased their tax bill significantly at the end of the year. So they'll just take out the difference from their investment with me to be able to pay their tax bill. So it's very customizable.
okay. No, that's super cool. That's awesome. And just makes me want to get mortgages on all these places that have like extra mortgages. And here you
And
go.
I would just want to
We
interject here
have to.
too.
Yeah.
So, oh, sorry. So I feel like, sorry, there's a bit of a lag. I've also made investments in Canadian funds and US dollar funds with Rob. So you don't even care about the currency either. So I feel like there's so many ways of being flexible. One, you can use different currencies and do a currency play. That one I've let ride, but my Canadian one, I'm going to take out money monthly. So there's so much flexibility. And by the way, the Canadian funds that I took out, I did that on my line of credit. So I'm gonna do a sort of a rate arbitration. You're gonna likely pay me. I know it's not a guaranteed rate of return, but in a month, what I'm expected to pay in a year for my line of credit. So it makes sense.
Wow,
We'll clear that off in a year.
that's
Yeah.
super
We
cool.
have it's important when we're talking about lending to invest that borrowing to invest is a bit riskier than traditionally taking your liquid investments, but it's I just feel like we need to get that out to make sure that our bases are covered.
Yeah,
For sure. For
100%.
sure. Yeah, and we're working with real estate investors all day. They are used to leveraging to invest. But
Yeah.
you're right. I'm glad you threw that little disclaimer there because we don't know who's going to listen to this, right?
Yeah, and I'd say one other question I get a lot when I talk to people, Rob, they want to know if they can invest their registered funds with you. Everyone's, I want to put my TFSA with Rob. Is that possible?
It is not at the present time. That's something that I've been against. I'm opening up more to the idea simply because from my time in banking, when you're dealing with registered funds, the banks don't tell you this, it's buried in the fine print, but the governments can actually go in and take those registered funds whenever they please in times of emergency and give you an IOU. So it's potentially shooting myself in the foot, but the idea behind the company of serving people, um, I'm toying with the idea of being able to set up registered funds. So to directly answer your question, not at the current time. In the future,
Oh,
it
thank
may
you.
happen.
Yeah, if you do, let me know because I don't even know if this would open up. But if you're doing registered funds, I have a lira from my pension when I worked at the bank. And where it's invested, it's very limited. So I want to actually transfer it out of there so I can invest in different things. But if we could do that, yeah, I'll just give you the whole.
Well, I have invested, technically, I've invested registered funds for a customer. However, what they did was they took the money fully out of their RSPs and then invested with me. And despite the withholding tax and I think they were down around 10 or 12% on their investments through the bank, I made that all back for them within 8 months.
Super
So
cool.
they paid their tax bill as well as recovered the loss that they had incurred.
Yeah. So just saying for me, and we're not going to talk all the time, but if it comes up and you're doing it, reach out. I've got a
Yeah.
sizable amount in there, and I will just do whatever I have to do to transfer it to this because
People will be made. I will let people know if and when that happens.
okay. Now we generally keep these short. So I don't know if you had any other questions, Jillian, but if not, what I'd like to do is hear from Robert on how somebody who's listening to this can get in touch with them. So did you have a last question there?
I have one last final question because honestly, when I tell people about my investments with Rob, I've been with investing for 7 months now. So I see the returns every single the catch. Like, what am I missing? What is the catch here? Because most people, and I'm one of them too. If something is too good to be true, it probably is. So I just want you to just take a minute to explain why there's actually no catch and why and how you're able to get these returns just on a super high level to just reassure people that there's no smoke and mirrors. It's just simple trading, really.
For sure. And I get this question a lot because I am providing returns that people are not used to. Most people aren't used to. There are some that have seen it before, but in one word, transparency is the answer for that. If someone, be it a prospective client or a current client, wants to hop on a call with me, I can show them exactly how I do what I do. I can show them the live analysis. If the pattern I look for is present, I can show them the live trade too. It's really, as I said before, I think we started recording, I'm an open book. You can contact me about anything. I never want there to be any guesswork whatsoever, because trying to make a name for myself in this business, doing what I do, I'm already going an uphill in the wintertime on a slope of ice without ice pick shoes. So the more I can be transparent about things, the better it's going to be in the long run. As far as the trading aspect goes, like I had talked about earlier with the way that my mentor trained me to look at the much higher time frames, with those with that kind of time frame and the institutions pumping in billions of dollars in liquidity into the different currency assets that are out there, those can move huge numbers. And when you use proper risk management, I refer to that 1%, the typical trade on I'm looking at the 4-hour and the daily time frame charts. The typical trade there can move between 3 and 6-1 return. I target 3-1 as a base level. Sometimes the trades will be smaller. Like I had a trade this month where the target was a 3-1 return. Once it got about 2.5-1 return, I'd set my stop loss to a 2 to break even at 2-1, so that I knew I was going to make no less than 2% on that trade. It ultimately did hit the stop loss on that, but even though it hit my stop loss, I made 2% on the trade. So we're all good. So I go about it in a very safe way. Whenever I go into a trade, I know exactly where I'm going to enter. I know exactly where I'm going to get stopped out if my theory goes against me. And I know exactly where I want to take profit. So I have a plan ahead of time, even before I'm in the trade.
Super
Great.
cool.
Oh, and
love-
sorry, as far as contacting me, you can reach out to me, Robert, at forthepeoplefx.com. Can I say my phone number?
If you want to, yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So 905-246-9907. We're working on getting the website back up online because we had a few regulatory things that we had to change on the website. So I wanted to make absolutely certain that I'm not going against any securities commissions, because I'm in this for the long haul and not the short haul. So we're going to be getting that back up shortly.
Perfect. No, that's awesome. And we'll make sure in the show notes as well, we put your email there and the phone number. So if anybody's in their car, don't worry about writing that down. It will be in the notes for you to reference when you're safe to do so. But no, awesome. I'm really appreciative that you came on, Robert. Thank you as well, Jillian. And I think this is an incredible opportunity for somebody just looking for something different.
It's great.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you taking the time out to have the call with me.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thank
Rob.
you, guys.
Thanks.
If you're serious about real estate investing and you want to take it to the next level with the least amount of time and mistakes, then you're going to want to sign up for our Real Estate Investor Hub. Visit CanadianRealEstateNetwork.com and hit the blue button or banner that says Free Investor Resources. Inside, you'll have access to real estate investing courses, networking opportunities, webinars featuring industry professionals, as well as dedicated chat channels to share and get access to unique properties. I look forward to seeing you there.